Shalom everyone, this is Kazak Aliyahu Yasharal and welcome to another of our videos. In our previous videos, this is a series showing the true location of Yasharal and Jerusalem, or Jerusalem as they call it. And in our previous videos, we looked at the land of briars and thorns to show that this land, the land of briars and thorns, matches up perfectly with the scriptures. We also looked at the fact that Jerusalem, Yasharal, must be desolate in the end times. And we also looked at the experience of Abraham sojourning in a land that he was to inherit. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob sojourning in this same land, the land of Canaan, that they were to inherit, and looking at the similarity with what we are going through. Today, we are going to be looking at a curse. Curse shall be the fruit of thy land. All right? Because since coming to South Africa, we noticed something very, very significant, and we are going to tell you what we've noticed. But let us begin with the experience from the book of Lamentations that tells us what happens when Judah went into captivity. So you know what happens when Yasharal goes into captivity. Because what does the Most High say? The Most High says, I am Yahuwah, I changeth not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So he never ever changes with how he does things. So let's go to the book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verses 5 to 6. Her adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper. For Yahuwah hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Her children are gone into captivity before the enemy. So whenever Yasharal goes into captivity, her adversaries, her enemies are the chief nations, and they prosper. Because Yahuwah hath afflicted Yasharal, Judah, for the multitude of her transgressions, and hence her children are gone into captivity before the enemy. So in the end times, the children of Yasharal will be in captivity before their enemies. And verse 6 says, And from the daughter of Zion all her beauty is departed. Her princes are become like harts, and find no pasture, and they are gone without strength before the pursuer. In other words, his people become weak, his leaders become weak, and they are gone into captivity and find nowhere to anchor themselves. So what captivity is that speaking about? It's speaking about the 400-year captivity that was promised Abraham. So his people must have gone through a 400-year captivity. Genesis 15:13 to 14. And he said unto Abraham, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. So his people must go through 400 years captivity, and that captivity is the 400-year captivity of the transatlantic, beginning with the transatlantic slave trade in 1619, when the first slaves were sent to the United States, because the United States is that nation, or it represents that nation that will be afflicted in the end, because verse 14 says, And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. Now this 400-year captivity ended in 2019, the time of the coronavirus pandemic they call it, which represented the first seal of the book of Revelation, Revelation 6 verses 1 to 2, when it tells you that he went conquering, the beast went conquering and to conquer using a crown, and the etymology of crown is corona. So they use corona to go conquering and to conquer. So that is how they the 400-year captivity, the release of the children of Yasharal from the 400-year captivity began. This is how we know we are at the time of the end, just laying a foundation here for what is happening in the world, so you know that what is happening is not by chance. All right, so that is why he told his people, his children, to flee out of the midst of Babylon, because he's going to recompense Babylon for what she has done to Yahuwah's people. And so he tells his people to come out of her, so that you be not partakers of her sins, and you do not receive of her plagues. So while we were in captivity, our enemies receive the blessings. Remember, we are looking at cursed shall be the fruit of thy ground. Now, whenever we go into captivity, remember in Lamentations 1:5-6, it says her adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper. And then it tells you about Judah going into captivity. Whenever we go into captivity, our oppressors, our adversaries, they receive the blessings. All right? So for us receiving the curses, Deuteronomy 28:18, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. So the fruit of the body are our children. And the fruit of thy ground is anything that the ground produces, whether it be vegetables, trees, fruits, whatever, shall be cursed. But for our oppressors, what do they get? Do they get curses? No. They get barakah, or blessings. Deuteronomy 28:4. Blessed, or barak, shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Of course, these are the blessings that we were to get, or we are to get. But when we are in captivity, the Most High takes it and gives it to our enemies. That is why the oppressors of this world flourish today. It is not because of how good they are. It is because they have the barakah, or the blessings from the Most High. And we're going to see how this affects what we are speaking about today. So, cursed shall be the fruit of thy land. Now, a significant thing happened when we came to South Africa. Being people who in lived in the Caribbean, where there was a multitude of fruit trees. Almost every home has fruit trees in it, several fruit trees. Yes, so many. You have some homes packed with fruit trees. So there's always something to eat when in season. You have people who can give away fruits, etc. And so it was a norm for us. And when we came here into South Africa, we realized from the very beginning, we said, where are the fruit trees? Where are they? No fruit trees. We even asked the natives about it. Where are the fruit trees? They couldn't give us an answer. The whole bottom line is you have a choice. It is either you have thorn trees in your yard, or you have no tree at all. Yeah? Oh yeah, here's a willow tree right here at the front. They do not even realize that they were devoid of fruit trees. Yeah? So the place, as we said in a previous video, is filled with briars and thorns. The whole place full of thorns, thorn trees. And in the private homes, it is either you see briars and thorns, or you see some tree that is unfruitful. Because we use a Google app, and we take and check out which trees they are. And you will find some trees that they grow big and everything, but they do not produce fruits. So the question arose, and I started, we just could not stop asking, where are the fruit trees? Everywhere we go, no fruit trees. And one thing you will notice is that there are hardly any fruit trees in the homes of the people. If you notice here, you'll have the yard, and you'll see trees like willow trees, but you will not see fruit trees. If you look, no fruit trees, and this is a constant around this area of South Africa. And that is according to the curses and the prophecies that the land will be fruitless. Yeah? No fruit trees. Look at over this big place here, just using it as an example. No fruit trees. The only trees that are over there are thorns. Yeah? And the people live here comfortably among the thorns because they cannot do anything about it. Because these are curses from the prophecies. This is part of the land of Yasharal, and the curses are upon this land. They parted the land and they gave it the name of countries. So the countries spanned the former kingdoms. But this part of South Africa, this part is the land of Yasharal under the curses. Now, we saw someone trying to plant fruit trees. And we asked the person, how long have you planted these trees? And the person told us for over a year. And if you see some of the trees, they haven't moved. Some of them moved a little, yes? But the person tells me that they take a long time to grow. Why is that? And we have been speaking about the curses of the fruit tree. Here's a fruit tree that was planted over a year ago. Nothing. Nothing. Here's another one over here. Let's see how this one fared. Planted over a year ago, and this is all that there is to it. Yeah, another of the reasons why people do not plant fruit trees here at all, because it just won't grow. Yeah, the curses, the curses, the curses. And here we have other fruit trees that have been planted and can hardly see anything there. All right. Here's another one. I don't know if that's fared a little better, but just looking like twigs. This one has done a little better, I think. Seems to be there with a little hope. This is a struggle. Why? Probably why there are hardly any fruit trees here in this place. All right. So curses of the law. And the land here is so fertile because I've seen someone plant up the land and you see the size of the things that come out, and these are organic seeds that were used. Some beetroot and some tomato. They're big, huge carrots, but yet still the fruit trees won't grow. Yes, and he had difficulty also growing those fruits, those beetroots and carrots, etc. But I'll tell you about it a little later. All right. So in Psalms 107, 33 to 43, the Most High told us the process. It is a process that he goes through with the land and the people. Verse 33 says, He turneth rivers into a wilderness, and the water springs into dry ground, a fruitful land into barrenness for the wickedness of them that dwell therein. Whenever his people are there in the land, and they go into wickedness, he makes everything barren. Everything barren. Yeah? And whenever he takes them out of it, then he restores it. Verse 35 says, He turneth the wilderness into a standing water, and dry ground into water springs, and there he maketh the hungry to dwell, that they may prepare a city for habitation. So that's what is happening today. He brings his people into the wilderness to prepare a city for their habitation. Yes? And sow the fields and plant vineyards which may yield fruits of increase. He barak them, he blessed them also, so that they are multiplied greatly, and suffereth not their cattle to decrease. That is what happens when he restores them. And in Isaiah 7:23 to 25, we were speaking earlier about the briars and thorns. And it shall come to pass in that day that every place shall be where there were a thousand vines at 1,000 silverlings, it shall even be for briars and thorns. Okay? Briars and thorns. So the place will be filled with briars and thorns, as have been our experience here. And on all hills that shall be digged with the mattock, there shall not come thither the fear of briars and thorns, but it shall be for the sending forth of oxen and for the treading of lesser cattle. So, on the places where they used to have great farming, it says, they will not have the fear of briars and thorns. So, the briars and thorns will come up, but the people will not fear them. Why? They will not use them to plant anything. They shall be for the sending forth of oxen or cows, and for the treading of lesser cattle, sheep, and goats. And what has been our experience here? Same thing. The place is not used for farming. The briars and thorns are there, and the people do not fear it. They have it in their yards, they have it everywhere. So they just use it for the sending forth of cows. We see cows, many sheep, many, many goats, fulfilling this prophecy. Yes? Now, the land, this land that we're on, I'm telling you that this place is the place. You see this land that we're on? All the great farming land that you can find, driving, is owned by white South Africans. Yeah? They own the good farmland, and this is another thing here. The best farmland is what they own. The land that the blacks owned, the land that the blacks own are those that are not so fruitful, and the whites do not crave them. Yeah? Because when they crave them, they make sure that they push up the price outside of the range of the black locals. And I'm telling you, there is no nation that matches the curses of the law like South Africa. None in this world. Right? All the curses. So, here's what the other thing now. Now, in the areas where the land is not good, the white farmers are able to afford what is needed to make the land arable. So, for example, when the area is dry, they have huge irrigation systems. I've passed and seen irrigation systems. Huge irrigation systems watering the place and sweeping the place. That requires a whole lot of money. The average person here cannot afford it. Yeah? They can employ the required amounts of labor that is needed to nurse the land to profitability. And as a result, they supply the food that the nation eats. Yeah? Most of the farming is done by the whites. For the blacks, the good land is expensive, of course, and it is below the reach of most of the average person. So they cannot afford the good land. So they have to now struggle with the land that is dry and that doesn't have any water. And these lands are usually lands full of briars and thorns. Hmm? And then I found out something coming here as well with someone who farms and tells me that, and we were here trying to prepare our ground. There is a weed that goes underground here, and I'm telling you that this land is cursed. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy land. This is it. There is a weed that goes underground. So when we got and we plowed up the land, after you plow up the land, you have to get people to come in with hose to dig out underground, because there is a weed that goes underground that stays underground, and if you plant anything on top, it sucks the nutrients out of it. So that which you plant cannot prosper. So they have that to contend with as well. Yeah? So that is another scourge that is upon them. Now, they also have the expense of plowing and fencing these big pieces of land. They also need the manpower. How can you pay so many people to do it? They also have the lack of water. And In order to counteract the lack of water, you have to dig expensive boreholes. Okay? Boreholes and 120 meters deep, all very expensive for the average person. So guess what? The average person who is under the curses of the law cannot afford these things. So what happens? Isaiah 7:25. And on all hills that shall be digged with the mattock, there shall not come thither the fear of briars and thorns, but it shall be for the sending forth of oxen and for the treading of lesser cattle, sheep, and goat. And that is all the people do here in this year. They cannot afford to do the farming on the scale of the whites, so they just do oxen and the lesser cattle, sheep, and goats. Yes? So let's look more into some scripture to see. This people, cursed shall be the fruit of thy land. This is it. The literal fruit on the tree is cursed. The fruit trees, mangoes, etc. Those are cursed because you don't see any here. And my friend who is planting them has been waiting for over a year and seeing a little budge on most of these trees. All right? No, the fruit of the land now refers to like the things that you plant in the land, like if you plant grown crops. These are also cursed. Yeah? You see what's happening. Deuteronomy 28:33 and 58 to 61. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed alway. This is what's happening. The fruit of thy land, the nation has come. The white people are here. They eat it up. They are the ones who are prospering and are producing it. Right? And it says, and all thine labors. If you look at the laborers on the white farms, who do you think is there? It looks like modern day slavery. It is the blacks, the locals who are there on their farm, eating up their laborers. And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed alway. That's what is happening here. Oppressed and crushed alway. Man, I'm here and I'm seeing the small shop system. You know, the retail shops? The little, corner shops that people have that might sell, you might buy one bread here and one drink here. Even those are controlled by the oppressors. They do not want the locals to even own a little small shop. And what they do, they bring in people from Bangladesh, Pakistan, put them in the shops. And I've seen there almost every one of the shops that I've been to. You see Asian, Bangladeshi looking, Pakistani looking people. They bring them in, let them run the shop, and richer people control the shops. So the corner shops look like a little rundown corner shop, but it's owned by them. Yes? You shall only be oppressed and crushed always. Yeah? This place, hey, you don't have nothing, no place like this in the world. Yeah? Remember, it was the last place where modern day slavery was abolished, apartheid. Legal, modern day accepted slavery was last abolished here. Why do you think is that? This is the land, people. This is the land. All right, Deuteronomy 28, 51 to 52. And this is telling what the oppressors will do. And this is what is happening here. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. These people come, they take everything, they control everything, and leave nothing for the people here. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest, throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which Yahuwah thy Elohim hath given thee. So, the high fenced walls, those are the barriers that our people have. There are no more barriers. They have besieged us until they have broken down all the barriers, until they are now in full control of the system. Yeah? Cursed shall be the fruit of thy land. But when the land is restored, Ezekiel 34:27 tells us this, and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit. So what we are saying now with this is that Yasharal has not yet been restored. Because when it is restored, the fruit of the land shall be restored. And the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Yahuwah, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. So, they shall be safe in their land. There is a land that they call Yasharal today, Israel today, sorry. A land they call Israel today. These people are not safe in their land. At any time, they can have a rocket coming over from sent over. What they call it again? The names of those places. The Palestinians and the Hezbollah and all of those places can send a rocket at any time. And there are times, so many times, they have been under attack. They are not safe. These are not the people. That is not the land. All right? And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. They shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. When we get back into the land, we will dwell safely. The people who say they are in the land, the 1948 Israel, the place they call Israel, they are anything but safe. They are not safe in the land. They are under threat, and at any time they can get attacked. When the Most High returns us to the land, no one can touch us because we will be ruling the world. That's just how it is and what the word says. Yeah? So, Isaiah 32:14-18, because the palaces shall be forsaken, the multitude of the city shall be left. The forts and towers shall be for dens forever, a joy of wild asses, a pasture of flocks. Until the Ruach be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest. So, the briars and thorns will be here. The place will be desolate until the Most High pours out his Ruach upon us. And when he pours out his Ruach upon us and he delivers us, then we will dwell safely. Then judgment shall dwell in the wilderness, and righteousness remain in the fruitful field. And the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness quietness and assurance forever. So any place that is called Israel must have quietness and assurance forever and peace forever. There is no peace in that place called Israel. It could not be the Israel. And my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. Yes, this is the hallmark of when you know his people have returned to the land. When his people dwell in peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. Yeah? So this is it. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy land. Sure proof again that this is the land. I've never seen anything like this. No fruit trees, and not even farming by the locals. Yes? The Edomites, the oppressors, the white people are able to farm and to produce on these lands, but the local people, the descendants of the children of Yasharal, are not able to farm. And so there is no fear of the briars and thorns, as it says in Isaiah 7:25. It is only for the sending out of cows and of the lesser cattle, sheep and goats. Yeah? This is the land, people. This is the land. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy land. All right? Please continue to watch other videos in our series. I will put the link to the playlist in the description, so you can just check out the playlist with all of our videos in this series on it. All right? So we're showing the true Israel today. We have been lied to on a monumental scale. Lied to on a monumental scale, and wait until you see the video about where Jerusalem is today. Lied to on a monumental scale, but the Most High is showing us. He brought us here. We had no understanding why he brought us here. But when he brought us here and we are seeing, he's opening up our eyes, we are realizing this is why he brought us here. Just like Abraham, who sojourned in a land that he was to inherit, sojourned as a stranger in a land of promise. That is why he brought us here. And he's showing us more and more every day. This is the ancient land of Canaan. This is the ancient land of Yasharal. All right? So please share, comment, please. Please comment and let the video be able to go around in the algorithm. Please comment, share, like, subscribe if you have not. All right? As we continue to show the word of truth. Please remember to check out our 24/7 online radio, Just a Word Radio at justawordradio.com. Until next time, shalom.